And good afternoon to you. It is the Nikki Maduro Show. I'm Kim McAllister in for Nikki today. Of course, Nikki at her other job. So we're doing the hard work of filling in and making it happen and continuing the conversation. And there were a couple things I wanted to talk about. But first, I want to kind of carry on what Mark had mentioned at the end of his show. And that is regarding Andreas, who we are delighted to see return to the fold. And I just have to say, Andreas, that my heart goes out to you and your family, and I'm so sorry. Andreas lost his mother, and then several days later, his father. So dealing with the loss of both parents basically at the same time. And it's something that I just want to mention at the beginning of the show and just put my heart out there and tell you that I'm feeling for you and thank you. Of course, Andrea's a big supporter of both the Mark Thompson Show and the Nikki Maduro Show, already donating and contributing to the program with a $20 donation and then a $20 donation and then another $20 donation. So, Andreas, Nikki, and I both really appreciate your help. Of course, if you would like to support the show, you've got a bunch of options. You can go to thenikkimaduroshow.com and find the Patreon and PayPal link. And as Nikki says, become a Madorable. Also, you can, the super chat is live, so you can do what Andreas is doing right here on YouTube and support us that way. Another way to support us, click that thumbs up button. We really appreciate all the help we can get in that way as well. And share the show. The more it grows, the better we're doing, the more likely we'll be able to continue doing it. So very important. And again, here's that link, that website, thenikkimaduroshow.com. So a couple things that I wanted to talk about. I know I can see people are still talking about the Dominion voting and Fox News settlement yesterday. It's a doozy. I think a lot of people feel, yeah, the Lady Beatrice, I'm infuriated by the settlement. It imposes little or no accountability on the liars, and the people will still watch their lies. The worst part is they're not even sorry. They're not sorry. No, they're absolutely not sorry. I agree with you on that. And I think that that's the problem with the settlement. It wasn't about us. It was about Dominion voting getting paid. And as Mark mentioned earlier, what is it, 787 million point five? Uh, and so it was about them making them whole. But for a lot of people, I think it was about more than that. It was about finally getting the truth, finally having some, a day of comeuppance, a day of finally admitting what's going on with this country and what people are believing. And that didn't happen. It didn't happen for America. So it's going to have to happen a different way. We're going to have to figure out something else. Thank you to all you guys are so kind. I see all the contributions rolling in from Andreas again and Beth Farmer. In memory of Andreas and his parents, thank you for that gift, Beth. That's really, really kind. The Lady Beatrice with $5. Kim, as a journalist, what do you think of this settlement? Just Fox News paying hush cash. So there was a time when I was a journalist where I'd be sent out into the streets to tell you the stories of the day. And part of that still lives in my heart. But as KGO changed, they asked me to comment more. And I would say once you start commenting on things, once you start expressing your own opinion, just by the very nature of it, you become less of a journalist. So while I was a journalist at this point, I'm less likely to call myself that or to embrace that because I want people to know that yes, I provide stories and I provide facts, but I also provide opinion. And I think when you start doing that, it's a slippery slope. You have to be very careful. So I would say, though, um, just of someone that has been a journalist in the past, that I feel like the settlement was great for Dominion, but it wasn't so, as I mentioned, great for America. Uh, but it wasn't a case about us, really, was it? It wasn't a case about what the American people needed. What the American people need is the truth, not a bunch of lies fed to us, spoon fed to us. And we can see what kind of problems and what kind of divisiveness that creates in our country. So was it what America needed? No, I don't think so. But again, this case wasn't about us. It wasn't about us as viewers or people consuming news. It wasn't about that. And I think one thing that's really important to know when you talk about journalism, the people at Fox News are not journalists. They're commentators, right? They don't go out, get the story, and tell you the truth. And as we saw by their emails, if that's the one thing that did come out of this case, is all the behind the scenes where it's finally admitted that they know what they're saying on the air is not the truth. Even they have serious questions and doubts about the information they're feeding to the public. I mean, I think at least we got that out of it. These cases are not done. They won't be as large in stature as the Fox News case, but I believe there's a case against Rudy Giuliani by Dominion voting. There's a few other cases, one against Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy. So we're not done hearing about this. I don't know. I feel like Fox just really wanted to protect its people. That whatever was going to come out in this trial was worth the $787 million to protect whatever integrity they feel like they have left, if any, right? So thank you for the question, the Lady Beatrice. I appreciate that. Nikki is at her other job, so thank you for asking. She should be back tomorrow. We have to make it work. This Bay Area living is not cheap. So at some point, when this is not a living because we're not making the same living we did at KGO, we have to make it work for our families. So yes, she's got another job, and I'll be filling in, and then tomorrow she'll be back, and we'll make it work. We are committed to doing the show and to being here for you. Natalie says there was never going to be a true apology, even if they lost the case. There was no path to that. The truth did come out, and that is important. I agree. I don't know if the whole truth came out, but I think we got some of it. For many people, we got enough to go, that's confirmation. That's what I needed to hear. I'm not surprised by that, right? But for other people, I think, Natalie, who watch Fox News like religiously, they have it on all the time. I think even if they knew it was a lie, it's their kind of lie, right? They want to believe that. So I don't know if for their audience it makes a big difference. Even if they had to come on the air and say, my bad, I'm sorry. We've lied to you, and we did it, and we knew about it, and we did it on purpose. I think the Fox News audience is very forgiving. They are being told what they want to hear. They are being told what they're being told comforts them, makes them feel like, oh yes, all these things I've thought. Yes, this is right. Yes, this ugliness. Yeah, that's okay. Bring it on. So I feel like the people that would have benefited from the apology are the people that really don't watch Fox News anyway. They're going to watch no matter what. No matter what lies are being told, they don't care because it's all very comfortable for them. Uh, Brett Baer writes John Slade is supposed to be the journalist, and he was telling them to start lying so they would stop bleeding viewers. Uh, yeah. Again, I think Fox News listeners, I don't even want to call it Fox News, just Fox. How about that? Because it's not news. They don't care. The people that watch it, they don't care. They don't care. They really don't. Uh, yeah. A lot of people, I love the outpouring to Andreas. We feel it. And I love, as Mark was saying, I really love that this community is there for each other and that you've gotten to know each other and that you're feeling for each other. Irene says, my condolences, Andreas, to you and your family. Many blessings. So I agree. Thank you for being here. There's a couple stories that I wanted to go over. We might have a shorter show today, and Guy O'Beelam might stop by ahead of 4:20, so we will look forward to that. But one of the stories I wanted to talk to you about was this a situation at Pier 39 in San Francisco, and I don't know if you saw this video. It's kind of disturbing, but there apparently was this young man. I don't know if he was a teenager or early 20s. He looks pretty young, who basically downs a beer and does a backflip off of the railing at Pier 39 into the water and then swims up onto the platforms where the sea lions are and starts chasing them all off. Did not go over well with the people of San Francisco. Let me see if I can show you this video. It's a video from Instagram. If I can bring it up to you guys. There it is. Okay. Here's what it looks like.
Oh. They look like, bro, you better go.
You can hear the friend laughing in the background.
Bro, get back. Bro, they're
So there he
freaking
is.
out, bro.
Yeah, they are freaking out, bro. So there he is, running all over the platforms, trying to scare off the sea lions in San Francisco. The sea lions that are, huge tourist attraction, that are beloved, that's their home, that's where they gather, that's where they stay, that's where they feel safe. And here's this guy drinking, running off onto the platforms, running around the platforms, trying to scare the sea lions, and they all jump off and go back into the sea. Now, will they come back? Probably. But sometimes, they all just kind of arrived one day, right? And so who's to say when they don't feel safe or when they feel their environment or habitat is threatened that they just take off and find another location? I just feel like, yeah, Kim writes idiot. He is an idiot. And I think if that person is found, I don't know what you charge someone with. Endangering animals or animal cruelty, something. But what he did wasn't cool. There's a lot of comments on this Instagram feed, and it's always amusing to read them. Someone says, "This is sad, disgraceful. This person is sick." Someone else said, "Ban this person from San Francisco forever." So I'm frozen in time again. So I will go back to my picture. That's funny. That was not a good stall there. Uh, yeah. So it's just it's a sad situation. I don't feel like we should take that. That the people of San Francisco, the people of the Bay Area should take that type of behavior and do nothing about it. John says sea lions are very intelligent marine animals. This guy, drunk and disorderly. And Lori, hi Lori, pretty sure there's a hefty fine for that. They can track him down since he was stupid enough to post this whole thing to social media. And yeah, you can hear the friend in the background who's taping, laughing and egging him on. Really, really disappointing. Drinking in public for starters, right? Because he had the beer in his hand. We didn't see the part where he slammed the beer, tossed the beer can, and then did the backflip. If he had gotten bit, I would not be sorry. I was hoping that, Donna. I know that you shouldn't wish ill will on others, but those sea lions, if you get into their territory or threaten them in an aggressive way, they can come at you. And that's a lot of weight coming right at you and biting you. So I would not have, he would have deserved it. Let's just say that. John says, make him do public service cleaning up sea lion poop. Heather says drunk and disorderly probably covers it. Beth says it's a federal offense molesting the wildlife. He didn't actually touch them, but just to mess with them, to harass them like that is enough. Pamela says sea lions are protected. I hope huge fines are in store for him. Better still, he deserves a Darwin Award. Exactly. Right? He should have had a couple of those sea lions charge him. That's what he should have had. Floyd's Key says the guy's a complete idiot. Young and stupid. I've been there, writes John Slade. Lady Beatrice wants him tossed into Alcatraz and left. Despicable, she writes. John says, yeah, the young, stupid, and drunk. Never attacked animals, though. Thank you for that. We appreciate it. Natalie says, I was waiting for nature to take its own revenge. This guy is the demographic that's most likely to get bitten by a rattlesnake or munched on by a sea lion, right? Heather says, I don't wish misfortune on others, except, yeah, actually I do. He would have deserved a nice flipper slap upside the dumb head. I think a bite would have been better than a flipper slap, right? A nice chunk, a nice little sea lion. How do you do? Mindy says, will they try to find out who he is? I don't know exactly what's happening with that. I have not investigated further, but this thing is all over Instagram. It's on SF Gate. I'm sure the authorities have seen it and may try to find out who he is. One can only hope, right? Yeah, John says, John Michaels, welcome, says he should get disowned. And there were people on the Instagram comment saying, ban him from San Francisco for life. You come, you harass the sea lions, you are absolutely out. Bite would have gone viral too, Darwin Award. Yeah. Karen says this is usually the kind of thing that gets tracked down. I hope so. That video was really upsetting to me. Really upsetting to see that someone would do that to the sea lions of San Francisco. No. Mm-mm. That would have been a bunch of flipper slaps. It would have been the least of it. Lady Beatrice says, pick him up and throw him in the cold of the bay. Well, I don't know if we want to watch him drown while we throw sea lion poop at him. Again, I don't wish death or ill will upon anyone. The karma wheel might flip right back around and stare me in the face if I did so. Uh, John says, yeah, just make him apologize and bring a bucket of fish to the sea lions. Yeah. How about just make him never come to San Francisco again? You are now persona non grata. Did I say that right? Persona non grata. Yeah, he's got to go. Absolutely has to go. So, okay, here's a story. I don't know if you heard about this one, and I'm sorry that my video froze up, you guys. But there is a scene. What can you tell us about the scene in Burlingame? And I wonder in the chat what you think about this. There are these two bakeries, and they opened up pretty, pretty kind of, close to one another. I think they're like a block or two away from each other. And they both have a very, very kind of similar name. They're one block apart, both in Burlingame. One is called, you can see here, Backhouse, Backhaus, Backhouse. And one is called Bakehouse, Bakehouse. So one seems more German in nature, maybe. Backhouse to Bakehouse, but they're really close to each other, right? So Backhouse has been a San Mateo County bakery since 2019 and opened its second location in Burlingame. They opened in August. They plan to open in August or September, but they already have the storefront up and the sign up. And they are providing their baked goods to a certain restaurant. So they're open, but maybe not to the public left. Bakehouse, a block away, is affiliated with a plant-based restaurant called 12 Month. They did a soft opening in February, and they're very close to each other. Well, apparently, the problem is that these bakeries, I guess, are getting confused for each other. So one of them, I believe it's Bakehouse, asked Backhouse to change its name, saying, listen, it's too similar. You've got to change your name. This is not going to work. People are getting confused. We can't have this. This can't stand. People voicing confusion. Some even suppliers getting confused, according to people going into the Backhouse bakery. So I guess the Bakehouse tried to reach out to the Backhouse and say, could you please consider changing your signage to at least 12-month Bakehouse instead of, Bakehouse? Because it's confusing. But the email was not answered. Then they sent a message to the restaurant's Instagram page. Still no answer. But then, apparently, right before an article was published in the San Mateo Daily Journal, the 12-month Backhouse people did call, or Bakehouse people, see, even I'm confused, did call the Backhouse, and they say they can't make any changes to the sign because of city restrictions. That once you start changing the sign, it's going to push back the opening, and that the bakery can't afford that cost because the city of Burlingame will make them get a new building permit to install new signs or change what the sign reads. So they say they're less worried about the cost of a new sign, but they're more worried about how it would delay their ability to open the bakery. And they've got 50 workers, and people are counting on the job and the work, and so pushing back the opening isn't going to work. Anyway, big confusion about the bakehouse and the Bachhaus. Make sure in Burlingame, you know exactly where you're trying to go there. Yeah. I don't know what you would think that there would be research done beforehand, that the city would have said, hey, listen, we have Bakehouse opening and Bachhaus, and it looks the same to us, or it looks very similar to us. So I don't know. I just, who was there first? I think they moved in very close to each other right about the same time. You know, very, very close. Did you guys see this picture? Did I put this picture up for you? This happened in Placerville, where a car went flying up onto someone's carport and ended up in the bedroom of the second story of a house. This is wild. This picture, if I could show you, get myself situated here and actually show you the picture. Really, really crazy. I mean, that's because I'm trying to add the picture to the video section. Sorry about that, you guys. Just check this out, though. This is crazy how this ended up happening. So here's what it looks like in Placerville. Check that out. I guess the car went flying. Uh, it went on top of the carport, crashed into a bedroom. This is in the community of Cape Horn, which is part of Placer County in the Sierra Foothills. It's a couple miles from Colfax, they say. The CHP says the driver was going very fast on a road that has a speed limit of 10 miles an hour. The home's owner estimated the car must have flown about 75 feet before landing in the second story of this house, partially in the bedroom of a home. The home on Robbers Ravine Road in the Cape Horn area. They had to get the firefighters out there. You can see them on the roof there. They had to call in a technical rescue team to stabilize the car, doing this whole rope system thing, rescue the driver. The woman that was behind the wheel survived this car in flight situation, although did suffer some major injuries and was taken to the hospital. Nobody was home at the time of this incident. Nobody was in that bedroom. Thank goodness. And so no one inside of the house was hurt. But huge hole in this house. It's bad. There's more pictures I'll try to show you. Wild. I mean, I think the pictures are the craziest thing about the aftermath of this story, because wow, can't even imagine. But here's what it looks like. I'll show you this picture with the car. There's the inside of the house. You can see the car inside the bedroom, and they've got a closer up photo in SF Gate with the specialty fire crews using a rope system to get the driver out and to secure this car. So suffice to say, I guess people won't be living in that house for a while. Look at the damage to the roof, everything. What an absolute mess. Speeding in a neighborhood. Does that happen in your neighborhood? I see people, I don't live on a hugely busy street, but busy enough where it's kind of a pathway between two neighborhoods. So a lot of people whipping past, to the point where I built this fencing around my front yard because I have kids, and I didn't want them to, toss a ball out and run into the street. I wanted that a fence to be kind of a barrier, like you don't go past this point. I've known people on my street that let their kids play baseball in the street, and people come really fast down the roadway. So I've seen those signs that say, drive like your kids live here, but I don't think it matters. Gonna take a crane and a lift to get that car off the roof, right? Time to redecorate the bedroom. Talk about Darwin Award winners. Calvin writes, which city? So again, this is in the Cape Horn neighborhood. It's in unincorporated Placer County. It's a couple miles from the town of Colfax. So yes, Leon, thank you for giving me a thumbs up. I appreciate that. It helps us grow the show. So thank you for the thumbs up, and that's free. So thank you for that. Appreciate it. Yes, it will be a good one for Drunken Disorderly for Mark's Law and Disorder segment. You may see it on that show too. Hard not to show that picture because I'm telling you, I mean, what a shot, right? Wow. People speeding through residential neighborhoods, a huge problem, a huge problem. I mean, imagine if someone was in that bedroom on the upper story. What a situation to like the precise way the vehicle hit the carport and went flying up onto the top of the house. That's a wowzer for me anyway. So there's some people I want to thank. You guys have already been so kind, and I do want to go through that with you. Again, we might have Ngayo coming through. So if he does come through, we'll talk to him a little about 420. He's got a show in Santa Rosa tomorrow, by the way. Andreas, for more than $20, thank you very much. Again, my heart goes out for you to you and your family for the loss of both of your parents. Pamela with $9.99, thank you so much. I really appreciate your kindness. If you would like to financially support the show, you can find more information at thenickymadoroshow.com. Pretty cool website. You've got the Patreon link and the PayPal link as well. You've got links to the show here on YouTube and also to the podcast, as well as the Maduro shop link is also on the website. So if you don't remember all the different websites we've got, you can just go to thenickymadoroshow.com to take a look at what we've got going on there. The big ruling coming today from the Supreme Court, they are extending the stay on the abortion pill restrictions until this Friday. Earlier this month, of course, this Texas judge ruled that production and distribution of this drug, mifepristone, should be stopped across the country. He said there were FDA approval problems. Really? What problems? FDA doesn't think so. Last week, the Supreme Court put that judge's ruling on hold as they decide whether to allow full access to mifepristone while the case is appealed. The stay today indicates that the court needs more time to study this case and decide what to do next. So, yes, the Supreme Court says mifepristone stays until at least Friday while they check this whole thing out and review the case. It is more than frustrating to watch how this is all playing out across the country, the taking away of our rights. I'm I'm very frustrated by this whole thing. But we've got to stay until Friday, so we'll keep following the case here on the Nikki Maduro show. That Air Force unit, that remember that airman who had the top secret documents out on the Discord server on the gaming websites? So the unit that the airman who allegedly leaked that classified information was assigned to is not working on its mission now. Instead, the Air Force Inspector General is apparently investigating the Massachusetts Air National Guard's 102nd Intelligence Wing. A statement from the Air Force says the mission has been temporarily reassigned to other organizations. So the allegations against this young man for releasing and posting these documents now has his entire unit sidelined. The work they were doing now given to other organizations, and I'm guessing that the whole place is being investigated now. That's what happens. You think you're just doing something that will affect yourself. It doesn't. It absolutely does not. I don't know if you guys have heard about this Oklahoma story. I think I might have mentioned it, but there was a situation, they've got a situation where an Oklahoma County commissioner was recorded allegedly discussing murdering journalists and hanging Black people with other local officials. That Oklahoma County commissioner resigned now. His name is Mark Jennings, reportedly leaving office after the McAllister Gazette News, no relation and a different spelling, published the recording of him and three other members of the McCurtain County Sheriff's Office, including the sheriff, Kevin Clardy. The recording allegedly captures the four talking about killing and burying a reporter and seemingly reminiscing about, the good old days of lynchings. It seems crazy to me all of a sudden we have all of these stories about racism popping up at once. So you've got this story out of Oklahoma where journalists obviously know something's going on, set a recording device in the meeting room, and catch all this stuff on tape. Then you have the situation in Antioch here in the Bay Area where as many as 40 police officers said to have exchanged racist and homophobic texts. You also have all these shootings all at the same time, where you have this 84-year-old man who opened fire twice when a young black man knocked on his door. That's all it took just to see a young black man, and not even a man, really, 16-year-old boy on this man's porch. I guess this man feels scared enough or felt scared enough to open fire. Didn't, I mean, could you have not opened the door if you were really that upset about it? Could you have done something else rather than open fire on this young man who, by all accounts, just went up to this door on accident, was supposed to pick his twin brothers up from a place a block away, just got the wrong house. That's all he did. I mean, wow. It just seems like all these stories about racism coming up all at the same time. And it may well be because as a white person, you know, I'm looking at the stories that pop up and I'm not living with that every day. So to a lot of people, these stories are probably not a surprise. To a lot of people, it's common. Yeah, we know. We hear about it all the time. But it's just I don't know. It seemed like during the Trump administration, the ugliness was let more freely out of the bag, right? That it was what had been discouraged before, not we don't do that in polite society. Many of us didn't realize was still lurking under the surface. And so when the surface got split open and all that stuff spilled out, there it is. And I don't know if the answer is to put it back under the surface so we once again live in a polite society, or how we instead dive under the surface and attack it and absolutely get rid of it, or if that's even possible. Maybe that's pie in the sky thinking on my part. Karen writes, yeah, this kind of thing happens everywhere. At least now people are making it public. Uh I don't Chris, I don't think so. I don't think so. The young man says he didn't yank on the door. And I don't care if he did rattle the door because he thought a party was going on inside. You talk to someone unless they're presenting some type of threat. Are they coming in gangbusters? Are they trying to beat you? I mean, no. No. I mean, if there was a threat, a man of color or otherwise, on my porch at 10 p.m. that appeared threatening to me, I just wouldn't open the door unless they were, physically inside my residence. I don't think I would take any action. So I completely disagree with you there. I mean, no. And this was a photo of the guy who shot the kid. Yeah, I think we have that, Karen. We do. This is the man who shot the allegedly opened fire on this 16-year-old boy. And this is the 16-year-old boy. And I know he's in a lovely setting and doesn't seem threatening. Maybe this old man saw him and saw a threat, likely just because of the color of his skin. But I think if you're a responsible gun owner, you don't react that way. You assess the situation before you open fire. I think that racism is showing here hardcore. Yeah. Walter says, "Yeah, Chris, I read the teen said he didn't pull on the door. There's no video evidence of such." Mm-mm. Kim says, "No words exchanged, just shooting through a door. Unacceptable." Yeah, shooting through a screen door. Apparently, there were two doors. I know that the saying "shoot first, ask questions later." No, no, mm-mm. How how can you just be shot for making a mistake about where you're supposed to pick up your little brothers? Outrageous. Karen says the shooter's lawyer told him to say the kid was yanking on the door. Lawyers. Doesn't matter if he was yanking on the door wasn't opening. You've got 2 doors and they're locked. I don't even know if stand your ground rules work in this situation. Yeah. Chris, you can try to sugarcoat this one, try to defend the guy for doing this. I don't think there's much of a defense. I think you're barking up the wrong tree. I really don't. No. Kevin says big black dude. It's a 16-year-old kid. That's right. So, the whole story is just really upsetting. I'm very, very grateful that this young man is going to recover with a gunshot wound to above the eye. I don't know if he's ever going to look the same or if his vision was affected by this, all for making a mistake of where to pick up your brothers. This story is really, really upsetting. Walter says, I also read after shooting him in the head, the guy then steps out and shoots him when he's down on the ground. Yeah, he shot him in the arm. That's right, Walter. That's right. Chris says you've never lived in St. Louis. I don't think you should have asked for ID, Chris. I don't. But I think that you're definitely defending the indefensible in this situation. That is not okay. You don't just shoot someone through a door unless you know they're coming to harm you, right? And even then, I think you have to wait till the responsible thing would be to wait till the person uh, opens the door. In this case, that would never have happened. Till you see the whites of their eyes, till you see him coming at you and you realize it's a threat. But if the young man had just said, if the 16-year-old boy had just said, I'm looking for my brothers and there's a party here. I mean, I honestly, I don't know if it would have mattered what he said because this guy was so just bent on the fact that he thought this young man or young boy was coming to do him harm, that maybe no matter what he said, he would have been perceived as a threat. Yeah. Yeah, I think he is saying that, Deborah. Chris is saying the shooting of this 16-year-old child was justified. And I don't think that there is any way you can justify this. No way at all. It doesn't work for me. And I think, Chris, you really should take a look at yourself here. If that works for you, then I think maybe you know, you're you've got a problem. If your first instinct is to jump to the defense of this homeowner and not look at the situation, at what happened here, that's not reasonable. You're not being reasonable in this case. I don't know you. I don't want to call you a racist because I don't know enough about you to say that. But I don't like your opinion on this at all, and it definitely smacks of racism to me. I think when you just jump to the defense of someone opening fire at their front door without even assessing the situation, that maybe you need to do some introspective work there. Yeah. Mike says, "Geez, what happened to you kids? Get off my lawn." Walter rightly asks, "Was the shooter part of a well-regulated militia?" I think not, Walter. I think not. Very, very upsetting. The whole thing is very upsetting. And it's just, again, a series, like day after day, back to back, these cases of out and out racism. Uh, I, 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 I don't know how we fix it. I don't know how we fix gun violence in this country, racism in this country. We got some problems. We got some big, big problems. I'm telling you guys. We have a lot coming up on the Nikki Maduro show this week. We will be doing some great interviews later in the week. Nikki will be here to talk to some people. I think she's got John Rothman coming on the show, and that may be, I want to say tomorrow. I'm not sure. Ngayo Bilam may stop by the show today as well. I don't know if you guys have been watching movies, going back to the movie theaters lately. We'll try to keep it a little bit light after that deep conversation. But the Super Mario Brothers movie is raking in the money, and I mean fistfuls of cash. And they are still going. They're not saying game over. This movie, the Super Mario Brothers movie, and I mean, you could say it's for everyone, but I think really it's for kids, right? It's animated, it's loud, got a lot of color. It's projected to make between 45 and $50 million in its third weekend. So, yeah, this this is a movie that's just raking in the bucks. I don't know if you've seen it. I got out of seeing it, which I'm really grateful for. But mm, it looks like people are not done with it yet. So, the debt limit in Washington D.C. The House Speaker Kevin McCarthy now unveiling a plan to lift the U.S. debt ceiling. Kevin McCarthy speaking on the House floor saying this legislation will provide 4.5 trillion with a T dollars in savings. It includes returning discretionary spending to 2022 levels, capping spending to 1% per year, clawing back billions of dollars of unspent COVID relief funds. He'd also like to roll back new IRS funding, doesn't want that, and do away with President Biden's student loan forgiveness plan. The White House insisting the borrowing limit has to be raised with no conditions. That is a position that McCarthy says is unacceptable to him. They say Congress needs to raise the debt limit in the coming months to avoid defaulting on the nation's debt. So this fight rages on. Meanwhile, the financial health of America hangs in the balance. I don't think that it's going to be a deal. Kevin McCarthy wanting to save $4.5 trillion. And it's interesting because when debt limits were raised when Trump was in office, they didn't necessarily want to cut spending. But now apparently they do want to cut spending. So, I mean, I don't know. And what do you want? You know, I think it's used as a political tool, obviously. But it's a bummer because it really kind of puts everything in limbo. And I think it's only a 1-year deal, which means we get to do this whole thing all over again. So, yeah. Some thoughts from you over in the chat. The majority of crimes committed in St. Louis are property crimes, making up about 78.6% of total crimes committed. Talking about the situation with the man shooting the teen on his porch. And I did see the story today, the update on the story today, and of course he did. But the elderly man who opened fire has pled not guilty today to charges in the case. So that's kind of the latest in what's happening with that. I guess, did anyone expect him to plead guilty? Uh, Maybe, I don't know. I think that there would be a problem if he pled no contest, but he's pleading not guilty to these charges. His name is 84. He's 84. His name is Andrew Lester, and he made his first court appearance today. If he is convicted of first-degree assault, he could face up to life in prison. What is that, like 5 more years of his life? He's 84. He turned himself into police Tuesday, was released on $200,000 bail. 16-year-old Ralph Yarl was shot in the head and the arm. His family says he's recovering at home. Miraculously. Life in prison. He's 84 years old. I mean, I guess you could say, well, he ends his life then in a prison cell. I don't think for this young man or young boy, I keep calling him a man, his teen and his family, I don't think that's going to be ever enough for what happened there. More of your thoughts from John. My fingers still ache when I even think about playing Donkey Kong Jr. and Super Mario's Brothers 3. Yeah, some people stayed up all night doing that, right? SF Tesla writes, with all those cameras, hopefully some sound, we can get to see what really happened on that porch. Scott Rittenberg writes, protecting the land stolen from another nation with a gun is 100% American. Ask Ohlone, Pomo, Miwok nations about that. Yeah. Flo, hi Flo, writes, I'm glad to see Kids Family moving a movie at #1 in the box office listings again. But Super Mario Brothers, the game, has appeal to the young and the young at heart. already my kids want to do this as a play. Ooh, that would be so fun. A Super Mario Brothers play. Absolutely. I heard and again, I haven't seen it because my husband took my son to see it. I've heard the story in the movie isn't so great, Flo. So maybe you guys will have to base a play off of the Super Mario Brothers characters and write your own better story. It could be a good English literature and performing arts lesson all at one time. Uh, Chris, again, on behalf of the man who opened fire, poor old guy has to rot in a concrete cell because of some idiot. I don't think you can call someone an idiot for mistakenly approaching the wrong home. We know that he was going to pick up his twin brothers at a party that was a block away. He simply went to the wrong door. And I don't think that makes someone an idiot. I have done that. I have gone to the wrong house looking for something or someone, looking for a friend's house that I was, supposed to I was expected at and maybe got the wrong place. And people open the door and they're so nice. Like, "Oh, that's the such and such family. They live 2 doors down," whatever it may be. Maybe it's because I'm a non-threatening looking white woman that they actually took time to talk to me. Chris, you're wrong on this one, man. Very wrong. And I don't know if you're just trying to stir up the pot, if you're trying to kind of troll us all on this one, because it's really unreasonable to me that you could take the other side on this one. There is no other side, really. Obviously, this man did something wrong, and you just have a hard time admitting it. So yeah, he's just trolling. That's true. That's true. Uh, and that's the thing is this this young man was supposed to wait in his car for the brothers to come out. But because he was on the wrong block, they weren't coming out. And I was talking to Nikki about this the other day, how often black families will have this talk with their young black sons, and they will say, here's how to act if the police pull you over. Here's what to do in this situation. Now we have to add, oh, and by the way, if you're supposed to pick somebody up and they don't come out of the house to greet you, don't in the dark go to someone else's house because you might have the wrong address. Look at this story. Look at what happened. Just another thing they've got to add to their list of ways to be careful. It's really outrageous that they have to be careful of making a mistake or an error. It's a privilege that a lot of us don't have to think about that at all, really. And you might call that woke thinking or whatnot. I just think it's common sense, reasonable thinking, honestly. Um, in Chris's defense, writes Dave, we're dealing with a guy who thinks a sword is as deadly as an AR-15. That's the level of intelligence we're dealing with. Okay. Oh, a lot of people with a lot of opinions, right? I am grateful though for all the conversation going on in the chat. Kim writes, I've definitely done it. Yeah, made a mistake. One of our former coworkers met Ben Affleck because he mistakenly knocked on a door. That's true. Ben Affleck was supposed to go to a party, and her relative was having a party at their house. He knocked on their door. She opens it, and there's Ben Affleck standing there. Apparently, he came in, met some people, and then went to the party where he was supposed to go. But yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. Natalie says, did anyone look at a map of that neighborhood? Northeast 115th Street, then up a street running parallel is Northeast 155th Terrace, and the house numbers are the same. It just goes to show it doesn't matter. I mean, how easy it would have been to make that mistake, right? This young boy, a 16-year-old boy, will be paying for that for a long time to come. If I had killed everyone that mistakenly knocked on my door over the years, I'd be a mass murderer. I don't think I've had a lot of people mistakenly knock on my door, maybe once or twice. Certainly would not have opened fire on them. I mean, come on. Treat people with kindness. Expect, and that's the thing. Expect that the people you come into contact with, expect good from them. What is the saying? If someone shows you who they are, believe them. right? So allow the person to show you who they are. Until then, you have to assume they mean you no harm. I mean, you're armed with a weapon. If they start coming at you, you can open fire. But until then, expect that the person is making an honest mistake, is there selling magazines, I don't know, whatever. But expect that people are good. You don't just start out thinking people are bad. And I'll tell you, I'm a very I don't know, maybe wary, skeptical of people, kind of always looking at emails to make sure that it's not a scam, whatever. Careful where I click, careful where I go, whatever. But it just so even I think even if you're a careful person, you can still expect people to be good or at least wait for them to do something bad until you attack or open fire. Seems reasonable to me to expect that. Yeah. So yeah, so let us indeed move on to some other stories. And I know that there's a lot going on when we talk about the uh, the situation in Kentucky as well. Uh, there are what was it? Oh, I lost the story. I'm sorry, you guys. Well, they're opening a cannabis bar in Kentucky. That's for sure. That's a surprise. A cannabis bar, and it's funny because the last time I talked to Ngayo Belam, he was saying that's what we need is cannabis bars in the Bay Area. That would make it be more accepted, like a wine bar, but a cannabis bar. So this is called Canna Buzz Bar, Canna Buzz Bar, Canna Buzz Bar. They're putting it in a district where distilleries go in Kentucky. The owner says it will operate completely within Kentucky's legal hemp rules. The public is invited to the soft opening tomorrow. And it is, yeah, the first cannabis bar in Lexington, Kentucky. Interesting that they have that. And I don't think we have anything like that in the Bay Area yet. So I guess they're a little bit ahead of us when we're talking about cannabis bars and allowing things like that. I wonder how you get that permit. I don't know. I'm very proud of California. I don't know if we talked a little bit about the abortion rulings. I don't know if you saw what California is doing as far as the abortion pill goes. But one of the things that I understand that California is doing is protecting pharmacists who prescribe or who distribute, I should say, the medication to people. And also, they are protecting their supply chain. So the way we get these abortion pills protected as well. They're safeguarding the supply chain, ensuring the privacy of patients. So if someone comes here from pick a state where it's illegal and takes this medication, their privacy here is protected. We can't be, I guess, legally required to give out the information of whoever came here to get that medication. Governor Gavin Newsom saying Republicans are waging a war on women. He says the courts have been relentless in their efforts to target them and healthcare providers as well. I'm grateful for whatever protection can be offered and however strong we can make California when it comes to uh, being a place where women can count on having rights. The scary part is you have this ruling out of Texas. And, I know the Supreme Court has stayed the ruling until Friday, but these things can affect us in other states. So it's a little sketchy. This isn't a surprise, this story. It's about air pollution in California. And we know we've got the smoke from wildfires during wildfire season and, exhaust from cars and whatever. I guess we've got a new study now from the American Lung Association talking about the worst spots for air pollution in California. It's not a surprise that Southern California, Los Angeles, and Bakersfield are the top when you look at short and long term particle pollution. So, you go to Los Angeles, you see the haze in the sky. Bakersfield in a really bad spot in the Central Valley where the air gets trapped and the pollution kind of gets trapped there. But at the same time, California is, I guess, making some headway when it comes to trying to fight pollution. The state released a report yesterday. It shows $1 billion was invested last year for nearly 20,000 different climate projects. So that's $9 billion spent on climate since 2014. The program has planted 20 million trees, funded 10,000 affordable housing units, created jobs, restored land, issued 427,000 rebates for zero emission vehicles. So on one hand, we've still got polluted skies. On the other hand, we're pouring money into trying to make our climate better. I wish they could do something about air pollution in Los Angeles, though. Here's something else I wanted to talk to you guys about. I saw this article on SF Gate. Let me get a picture of it. But there is this new train that may be up and running soon. And, I think we've all been kind of waiting for this bullet train. Wait a little longer because it seems like another billion and another billion, and it seems like it will just absolutely never get built. But there is this kind of a hotel slash train that would run at night. They call it the Dream Train. And it's kind of intriguing to me. It's a hotel train that would travel between Los Angeles and San Francisco. The company is out of Southern California. They want to get approval to launch overnight service by next summer. So forget the bullet train. This train is coming by next summer, hopefully. The train would run between 10 p.m. and 8:30 a.m. Same route as Amtrak's Coast Starlight. The CEO says it would let passengers get a good night's sleep before waking up at their destination. Here's how much it costs. $300 to $1,000, I guess, depending on how nice your hotel room is in the Dream Train. How how cozy it is. And whether or not you could actually sleep on a moving train, I'm that kind of person that can sleep anywhere at any time. I have no problem sleeping on a plane, a train, in a car, in a seat at an airport, wherever it is, it's good for me. That's fine. But a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people have to have dark, have to have no noise. I don't know. Maybe though the thump of the tracks would be more comforting than you think and would be, I don't know, kind of more in line with sleeping, would put you right to sleep. Maybe. I think it's a cool idea. Imagine getting on the train here in the Bay Area and you wake up, you're in Southern California, hop off the train, take an Uber to Disneyland, done. Or wherever you're going. So I think it's kind of a cool story. A night train between Los Angeles and San Francisco. I like it. Better than bleary-eyed driving down I-5, right? Through the Central Valley. I don't know. What do you think about this? Would you take the Dream Train from San Francisco to LA? And can you sleep on a train like that? Would you be able to pull that off? I totally would. I think it's kind of a cool idea. Let's see what you guys have to say about this Dream Train. JR says, I guess if I'm going to die in a high-speed rail accident, I'd rather be asleep. There's some truth to that. John says, I would fall asleep on a city bus sometimes. Oh, yeah. There you go. Date weekend, train getaway. I mean, I guess you could say, speaking of a date weekend, easy to sleep on a train until you have people going at it in the room next to you. Let's hope it's not that kind of a date. Floyd's Key says it'll never be a bullet train. It runs on tracks with wheels, but levitate on magnets. Yeah, it is not a bullet train. No, I'm sorry. But not like we'll ever actually get the bullet train anyway. But yeah. The Dream Train sounds like a good trip. I think so. Not at 300, huh? Well, I guess, I mean, how much are you going to pay for gas to drive to LA between San Francisco and LA. At least what? 150? 150? 150? At least $150 depending on what your kind of car you have, and if you've got, a couple kids in the back, you got 4 people, you know, maybe it's more worth driving than not, but it's an experience. And you don't have to if you are a night driver, some people like to drive better at night. Uh, $300 would keep me awake. It's the experience though, Beth, right? Getting on a train, having a bedroom on a train, maybe going to the train bar, having a cocktail or whatever, a latte, a decaf, so you can sleep at the train bar. It's the experience of the whole thing of not having to do the driving. I was nodding off just hearing you describe it. Sorry, am I boring you? Or I was using my nighttime soothing voice. $300 probably just for a regular seat. Probably you're right. Yeah, you probably have to pay more for the cushy room. I don't know. I think that would be a fun trip. I would like it. And they say they're hoping to get approval for it next year. So we could be doing this, going to Southern California aboard the Dream train, and that would be it. Joe says, unfortunately, our trains and tracks are not well maintained. And yeah, it would be the same tracks that Amtrak is already using. Flo says this dream train may allow for a very romantic, rather lovely travel experience. That's kind of how I feel. Kim's like, yeah, I can't sleep anywhere. I think most people are like you, Kim. Most people. Drives my husband crazy because he's like you, where it takes him a while to get to sleep. If he gets woken up, he can't get back to sleep. And I'm just like, the minute my head hits the pillow, I'm out. And I don't wake up until usually he wakes me up. So I just that kind of sleeper. But I'll tell you, one of the benefits of it is when I had to work overnights, both in an emergency room and in radio, it was okay because I didn't have a problem sleeping during the day. Light didn't bother, the time frame didn't bother. So, I mean, I guess there's good and bad things about it. The hot train, that doesn't sound good. Yeah, I don't know. I tend to think the train would be fun, but I wanted to share that with you guys because I thought maybe it might be fun. I think I have some pictures of it, or maybe they don't really have a much of a picture of it. It's more of just the picture of the train tracks. Uh, yeah, not really worth showing you guys the pictures. It's just the train tracks. But I think the Dream Train sounds like kind of a cool deal. And I would like to think I would sign up for it. I don't know if I'd sign up for it with the kids and the whole family. And I don't necessarily know how much I would pay. I probably wouldn't pay $1,000 to take a sleeping train ride from the Bay Area to Los Angeles, especially when really the plane tickets aren't that much, right? I mean, you can get if you shop around a pretty good deal flying from San Francisco to Southern California. I think I've seen tickets. I mean, if you buy it right now, it's going to be more than $100 probably, but I've seen tickets sometimes where they'll have a fare sale or something. It'll be like $40 or $50 for one way between Southern California and the Bay Area. So maybe 300 is a lot. I don't know. I still think it's the whole experience of the thing that makes it seem kind of romantic to me. Ooh, the high romance on the train tracks. That's right. I don't know. We've got a big problem though in California when it comes to police. Heard this whole situation about the police in Antioch. Well, apparently there are police departments all over the state of California who are facing crisis level shortages of officers. In Los Angeles, you've got the mayor now making a big push to fill vacancies. San Diego, they're asking their former officers, please come back. Please return. San Diego police sending a letter to former officers with incentives to get back on the job. Some former officers say in this current climate, the incentives really are just not enough, that the job carries so much more risk. The officers don't feel supported by the communities they're serving. And it's a big thing. In San Diego last year, they lost 241 officers. And 138 have already left this year. The city of Alameda is offering like this massive bonus to get police officers to come sign up for their police force. I want to say it's like 75 grand or something. Don't quote me on that, but it's a big chunk of change to get people to sign up to be police officers. It's a job, and I don't know that any amount of money is worth being, if you're not being shot at by criminals, then you're being, having food thrown at you or being thrown out of restaurants by people who are upset with the whole idea of police. It's hard. I've always been, and I know there are bad apples, whatever. I know. But I've always been the kind of person who, if I see an officer at a coffee shop, I will try to buy them coffee. Try to do it a couple times to Petaluma police, and I don't know if they can't accept gifts like that or what, but they always say, "Oh, that's okay, thank you, can't do it." But I feel like it's important to let these people who are so pivotal and important to the community know that they're appreciated. And I don't, I know there are people who just blanket hate cops, but imagine society without them. What type of things would happen? I don't know about you, but I'm still the kind of person where if something bad happens, if someone is outside my house that is scary to me, instead of opening fire, I'll call the police. I think that's what normal people do. If I get into a car accident of some type, knock on wood, I would call the police, right? I mean, I think when we are at our very worst, when we are at our most fearful, or something bad has happened, these are the people that show up. It's not necessarily a happy job. You're seeing people that have either had something awful happen to them, are at a vulnerable state, or you're arresting people that may not be the cream of the crop of society. Yeah, Kim says I would never want to be a police officer in this current climate. Eric says they don't make you feel safe. I think it depends on the community and it depends on the officer. Maybe it depends on your former experience with police as well. I have a friend, a white woman, who just does not like police. She's had a couple really bad incidents with officers who often revolving around dogs. She's a dog lover. And so, has had run-ins with about barking dogs or noise complaints or bites or whatever. And she, has no use for police officers, but I do have use for them. I do respect them until they show me they're not someone to be respected. Until you show me in the city of Antioch that you've got an underlying current of racism and homophobia. I hope that's not the case in my community. But until I see something like that, then I respect you. I realize that I need you. I need police. I believe we all need police officers. We have to have people that are enforcing the laws here. Lori writes, we're at a crisis with our public service and public service adjacent jobs. Not enough pay to live in communities, not enough respect. Teachers and cops are expected to put public ahead of family in emergencies. That's true. That's right. I mean, you talk about teachers putting themselves on the line of fire to protect children in in the case where, there's a shooting at a school or whatnot. Oh, same with officers. Karen writes, seems like there are two categories of police, those who want to help the public and develop mental problems and those on a power trip. I guess it's the power trippers we have to worry about, right? And we need to make sure that those that are putting themselves in hard work every day do get mental health assistance, because it's not an easy job. John writes, I remember cops in my neighborhood harassing young blacks and Hispanic folk for no reason. Not cool, John. Also, remember some cops who were loved by the community. I guess it just depends on the person. I think if the officer gets to know the community members, becomes more of a person to them than a uniform, because sometimes I think when you see an officer, instead of even seeing a face, what you see is the uniform coming toward you. But when an officer is able to kind of step past that and have you see the face and the smile and humanize themselves and get to know the community, that's when you have a whole different situation. So, yeah. I feel sad about the state of police. We don't have enough. And then I think about my son or daughter and would I want them to grow up to be a police officer? And the question is, I think it's a I hope it's a and would like to believe it's an honorable career. For most people, I have to believe that it is. But I don't necessarily know if I would want my children in harm's way. I don't know if it's worth the money, especially when you have, and you've seen it in the chat, the amount of people who just don't feel like police are there for them. We see it here with John's comment, who feel like, yeah. And Floyd says, yeah, it's sad because the bad cops messed it up for the good ones. Joe says, wonder why they don't feel supported. Maybe all the killings, racism, misogyny. Trump support had something to do with that. You're not wrong. Not wrong. I can't argue with you, Joe. And maybe it's my thinking that I want it to be, not necessarily like it was because I want things to be exposed. And I think the more we've learned about some of these departments, the better. But I still want to feel like we can have a society where, we have a rule of law, something. And John even writes, yeah, I've got relatives who are cops and are cops. Joe says maybe instead of spending 21 million on increasing California's homelessness by 30%, we should give teachers and police raises, maybe implement some standards of acceptable behavior. That would be, a complete overhaul, Joe. And imagine how strong the unions are. If you want to implement all these changes and the fight, maybe the pushback on that. Wow. John says one of my relatives who was a cop in Oakland played a part in busting Felix Mitchell, and he had to have a security detail for fear of retaliation. That's scary. Yeah. Karen says, yep, a change in the culture of police has to take place within the ranks. I think that that's true. I just don't know how we get there. Maybe by weeding out the bad ones. I don't know. But at this point, there's hardly anybody to signing up to be a police officer. It's why you've got these big bonuses. It's why you've got this big push to find people to fill these vacancies. And maybe when you get them in there, it's about training them appropriately and putting these new rules in place at the beginning level when you get these people in there, these new cops in there. I think one thing we all have to realize is a lot of these officers, even in San Diego, how they're trying to get the former officers to come back. I think we have to realize that we're going to be seeing maybe a crop of police officers that are fresh, that have never done this before, that are rookies. And so, maybe just realize that as you go about your life. Did you hear about this case out of Texas? It's another one of these open fire without really asking questions. A Texas cheerleader remains in intensive care after a shooting outside of a supermarket near Austin. A 25-year-old suspect is in custody. Police say this happened just after midnight Tuesday when two members of a team from the Houston area were shot by someone who fired into a car carrying 14 girls. The girls reportedly had pulled up next to the car thinking that it belonged to one of them. And when one of them tried to open the door to the car, reports are she was trying to apologize to the man in the car when he allegedly opened fire, hitting two of these girls. So they pull up next to this car. A couple of them get out thinking it's one of the girls' car, and it's not their car. So she opens the door. She says, "Oh, I'm sorry." Boom, 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 boom. What? One girl treated at the scene, the other airlifted to the hospital and again remains in intensive care. Why are we so on edge? In this case, it's a woman getting into your car. Have you ever done that? Have you ever tried to open the wrong car door? Because I have. At one point, we had it was a Toyota Corolla, and it was silver. It looked like everybody's car on the road. I think everybody has the same at one point had the same car. It's why people put those wacky little things on their antenna to differentiate their little silver sedan from anyone else's. And I think a couple times I walked up to a car that looked exactly like mine outside of a store and realized, oh, it's the same car that I parked next to, that it wasn't my car. Imagine. I can't even imagine this whole situation. And I don't know, maybe this one affects me more because I th- I can, I was a cheerleader at one point, way way back when. So maybe I hear cheerleader and I feel like, oh no, not the cheerleaders. This is from a long time ago. You guys ready for this? Yeah. That's me a long time ago. But I see these young girls and they're trying to get into this car and she opens the door, realizes right away and says, "I'm so sorry." And even then gets shot. Why are we so quick on the draw? Why are we so quick to pull the trigger? I don't get it. I mean, it's shocking to me. Shocking to me. The port shooting, the car shooting, the recent driveway shooting where someone pulled into the wrong driveway. They were looking for a house, got the wrong one, pulled into the driveway. We're backing out of the driveway, even. And I mean, there's uh, my son has piano lessons on a court, and it's kind of a no outlet situation. There's a creek at the end of the courts, and it's very narrow street. And in order to turn around, you have to pull into someone's driveway and then back up again. I don't know those people, but I use their driveway at least once a week. Imagine if I pulled into their driveway and they just opened fire. Come on. Can't anyone use colored styrofoam balls on antennas anymore? So tacky, but so true, right? Come on. John Woodward writes, I was on a bike ride in Ventura, went to my bank, opened the door, walked around inside, and I realized this bank is closed. Nobody's here. Someone had left the front door open. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. John, wow. That's crazy. Uh, Karen writes facetiously, I imagine, how can anyone argue that we are in a gun crisis? I'm telling you, man. To finish the bank story, carefully with my bike, went outside, called the police. A guy showed up within 5 minutes and he'd checked it out and was going to try to call the bank manager and see what the hell was going on. But that was weird. Yeah. I don't know. Kay in Santa Rosa says, yeah, happened to me. A boss sent me to the store in her car when I was about 17. A similar car parked next to me. When I left the store, I got in the wrong car. Don't we always have? I mean, a lot of us have that experience at least once. Kim says, a young black man tried opening my car. He had the same one. Thought it was his. I bring up that he was a young black male due to the boy in St. Louis. Yeah. Now, I have had someone at an intersection in San Francisco try to open my car and get in. A homeless guy once did that. Tried to open the door. Luckily, I had the car locked. Guy tried to open my door. I just, you know, didn't unlock, didn't react, drove off when the light turned green situation. Kim says, yeah, my reaction, I laughed it off. I didn't pull a gun. Right, Kim, because you're a reasonable person and you assume that the person, until they come in to do you harm, is good and that they're just making a mistake, right? Yeah. Walter says, I've seen a cop hop in the wrong patrol car and take off. Return feeling a bit sheepish. Uh, Floyd's Key says, yeah, pretty girl did that to me, but I was with my lady and my daughter at the laundromat. If not, I would have looked up and said thank you if I was single, of course. Well, if a pretty lady just happens upon you in your vehicle. Yeah. I would appreciate it if you would do what John is asking. Splash that thumbs up with your iron rod or whatever tool you have handy. We'd love to get the likes. Got a couple hundred people here participating in the show, so I'd love to have you click the like button. Of course, here's the website, thenikkimadoroshow.com. And again, thank you to everyone who has contributed to the show today. Nikki and I really appreciate it. We really want to keep this going. Nikki, of course, will be back tomorrow. And so you can look forward to that and the conversation continuing. I want to tell you, even though he's doesn't seem to be popping in today, which is fine, that Ngaio has a show tomorrow in Santa Rosa. So here is the graphic that he has for the show, and you can get some information off of this one. It is, I'll take my other banner off so you can see it. It is the North Coast Comedy get the last laugh the night before 420. So tonight he will be at 8 p.m. performing on a Coffee Lane in Santa Rosa, Epicenter Window Room. Epicenter is a fun venue as well. And then there's another show, I believe on 420, he's got another show. So, but tonight he's performing at 8 p.m. He's so funny and nice. So he's the headliner. He's got some other people with him. Steve Sims, he's got the Burn Man, he's got Wendy Lewis and Tammy T. Love. Should be a really good show. It's 21 and over. So if you're in Santa Rosa, near Epicenter, check him out. Again, the show is at 8 o'clock this evening. So go see Ngaio. He's funny. Super, super funny. I want to thank you guys for being part of this show today. With me here on the Nikki Maduro Show. I will keep filling in for her when she is out. The show may change a little bit with her taking another job, but we'll still be here getting it done, doing all this kind of stuff and carrying on the conversation. I want to think if there's anything else I wanted to talk to you about. Oh, you know what it was? The strawberries. I know there was a Hep A strawberry scare, but I saw this story out of Davis this morning. There are 5 new varieties of strawberries being released. UC Davis releasing new strawberries that are resistant to a soil-borne disease that has gained momentum in California. The disease is called Fusarium wilt. Experts say it could wipe out strawberry fields across California. It appears this disease has always been in the soil, but I guess it increased over time after use of a certain pesticide, methyl bromide, was eliminated in 2005. The 5 varieties of strawberries are the first release from the UC Davis Strawberry Breeding Program. According to researchers, 90% of strawberries grown in the U.S. come from California. And experts say Fusarium wilt is the most common cause of strawberry crop death. Still, just over half of strawberries cultivated in the state since 2014 have not been resistant to it. So, new strawberries, I wonder if they're going to taste different. I don't know. I love a summer strawberry. So good. There's a place on Petaluma Boulevard that they've got a field right behind a little stand, and they open up the stand when the berries are ready, and you get these freshly picked from the field strawberries. So good. So good. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate you very much for carrying on with me and being part of the chat and being part of the show. We will be back tomorrow at noon with the Nikki Maduro Show. And again, please click the like button if you can. I appreciate that so much. thenikkimadoroshow.com. And again, click that thumbs up button. And thank you for being here. And I will end the show as we always do with a little bit of Jacob for you. Here he is.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.